What is up guys, AD here back with another Destiny Child video here on the channel, and in today's video everyone we are going to be overviewing the 3 new units that were brought alongside the Cat, Dog, and Devil narrative dungeon event, and whether or not you guys should be summoning for these new characters, and of course in which areas of the game they do excel best at. So of course we do have Kitty Catsi here on the screen. Now you guys will see the summons later on as I'm recording the should you summon after I did summon for the units. But yeah, let's check out the units here. We do have the first being Problem Kitty Catsi, so we'll overview her quickly and then head on to the next two. Now if I go too fast I do apologize, as we are overviewing 3 units here in today's video, so I don't want the video to be too long. So let's get started here. We do have Problem Kitty Catsi here on the screen. She is a 5-star wood type debuffer, which is actually a pretty good unit I would say. Now before we do dive in, of course I would say summon for this unit. She is a narrative dungeon booster and she is overall a good debuff extender here with her tap skill alone. Now let's dive into the kit. Now we do have here the tap skill, which is Lucky Black Cat, deals 407 damage to one enemy, priority the supporter, debuff duration plus 30% for 8 seconds long. The slide skill here, Bell's Cat, deals 723 damage to 2 enemies, priority supporters, a 60% chance to inflict silence, skill use blocked and skill gauge reset for 5 seconds. In PvP, slide skill cooldown plus 2 for enemy supporters for 12 seconds long. As for the drive skill here, we do have Ultimate Cat Punch, deal 2134 damage to 3 enemies, priority the supporters, 80% chance to inflict silence, skill use blocked and skill gauge reset for 5 seconds, and debuff duration plus 40% for 16 seconds long. As for the leader buff here, we do have skill gauge charge speed minus 18% to all enemies. In PvP, skill gauge charge speed minus 10% for supporter enemies. Now overall here, at first glance of her kit, she does seem to be targeting the supporter class a ton, so if you do happen to struggle against teams with supporters, then she will be very useful here, as she does help extend their slide skill cooldown by 2 here for enemy supporters at rank 1 skills. And of course she does have silence here on the slide as well as the drive skill, which is very nice here. As for the tap skill, like I mentioned at the beginning, we do have the debuff duration plus 30% for 8 seconds long. Now I do believe she is a definite summon, as of course the tap skill here is very nice here due to the debuff duration, in which you can actually flex her to the world boss trial side of the game, in which she does have debuff extension here on her tap skill. And if we do check out her max skills at rank 7, so upon uncapping her to plus 6, this actually does scale to plus 65.4% for 8 seconds. So very nice here on the tap skill. And if you do happen to ignite her, which is a good option, as she does have the duration increased from 8 seconds to 10 seconds here on the tap skill alone. And of course she does have here the debuff duration plus 40% for 16 seconds on her drive skill as well, which is very amazing. Of course the slide does change a bit as well, but we're not really looking at her for her slide skill. We're kind of looking at her for a PvE debuffer. Of course you can use her in areas such as Endless Duel and Devil Rumble, but I'm not sure about Devil Rumble too much, as I don't really see her excelling there. I could really only see her being used in the world boss trial as well as maybe Endless Duel if you are facing up against heavy supporter comps, so let's say maybe in Endgard. But other than that, I would say she is pretty much an amazing world boss debuff duration extender, as if we do compare her ignited status to a unit like Lewin, in which we do use in the world boss trial for debuff extension. If I can find her here, let's actually look in my child inventory. We do have the wood type debuffer, 6-star, and there she is. We do use Lewin for her debuff extension, as of course she is a wood unit, and we do use plenty of wood units in the world boss trial. Now Lewin here does have debuff duration plus 43.6% for of course 12 seconds long, as this is on a slide skill, and compared to Catsi, in which her debuff extension is on a tap skill, and upon fully igniting Catsi, she does scale to a 10-second duration, as well as her plus 6 skills being at over plus 63%. So amazing units there for the world boss trial, like I did mention, and a decent one for PvP, I would say, but pretty much looking at her for PvE. That is why I do suggest you guys to summon for her. She's good for World Boss Trial in my opinion, and does have some niche use in the PvP side of the game. If you do happen to surround her with units correctly, then of course, like any other units, they could succeed in Devil Rumble as well as Endless Duel. And of course, not to leave out the fact that she is a narrative dungeon boost child for the current event, so this will help you a ton as well. Next up here, everyone, we do have Dreaming Poppy Lassi, which is the newest light type attacker, and honestly one of the best light type attackers in the game, if not the best actually, here on the global side as of now. So let's dive into her kits here. We do have the tap skill Angel Smile, deals 502 damage to one enemy, priority lowest HP, a 70% chance to grant Ignore Reflect to self for 20 seconds long. In PvP, a 55% chance to grant Focus, Accuracy Up, and 100% crit to self for 20 seconds. So similar to a light type attacker as Gunslinger Hilder, Lassi here does have focus on her tap skill, which is very amazing if you do want to crit in the Devil Rumble or Endless Duel. This will help you in doing that, as well as the Ignore Reflect to herself. And moving on to the slide skill here, we do have Happy Pooch, deal 1037 damage 2 times to 2 enemies, priority the lowest HP, 800 magic damage, bonus damage, increased damage from critical and weak point attacks. In PvP, inflict a buff blast, last applied buff is removed, then deal damage based on its effect type by a factor of 300 to buffed enemies. So overall, you're looking at Lassi for her amazing slide skill here, as of course she does have magic damage, in which it is bonus damage and it's increased damage from critical and weak point attacks. So she will do very well against dark type enemies, as well as have tons of bonus damage if she does have a critical attack as well. And not to leave out the fact that she does have buff blast here on her slide skill, which is very helpful if the enemy does have a buff applied to them, and she will deal damage based on its effect type by a factor of 300 to of course the buffed enemies, which is overall an amazing slide skill. And to put the cherry on top, she is a 6-hit slider upon being fully ignited, in which does help a ton for other areas of the game such as Break and World Boss Trial. So this is definitely a very flexible attacker, one of the best light type attackers in the game, and you should definitely summon for her based on this fact alone. A very flexible unit is hard to come by, and with her being one of the best light type attackers in the game, you should definitely consider summoning her based off her slide and potential alone. Now moving on to the drive skill here, Wonder Artful Wilderness, deal 2659 damage to 4 enemies, priority lowest HP, 350 magic damage, bonus damage, increased damage from critical and weak point attacks to dark type enemies. So she does target the dark type enemies here under drive. Now it's a pretty niche one, I would say, so you probably won't be using this one too much. But moving on to her leader buff here, drive skill Final Blow plus 15% for light type allies. In PvP, drive gauge charge amounts plus 15% for light type allies. So overall, I would say a very good kit here. She does have focus and ignore reflect here on the tap skill, which is very nice here. Focus is always nice in PvP if you would like to get off a critical slide. And of course, it will benefit Lassi a ton, as of course she does have 800 magic damage, which is increased damage from critical and her weak point attacks. So this will be very helpful in popping enemies in the PvP side of the game. So you will probably want to tap and slide her in PvP. And she also does have buff blast. So overall, a pretty complete PvP attacker and a very good option for PvE, in which she does scale to a 6-hit slider upon being fully ignited here. So you guys can see here, she does have deal damage 2 times to 3 enemies, which is a 6-hit slide here for the slide skill. And we do have her buff blast, which scales very well here to 801 damage here, as well as the tons of magic damage. So Lassi will be popping units a ton in the Devil Rumble, and overall have good damage for PvE events such as Break and of course the World Boss Trial. So I would definitely recommend you guys to summon for this unit. She's a very complete light type attacker, very flexible in all game modes, and of course, such as Catsi, she is a boost child for the current narrative dungeon event. Now if you guys don't want to summon for her, then of course you can just obtain the free copy from the narrative dungeon, which is amazing as well. Now last but not least here, everyone, we do have the best unit of the bunch, I would say, for PvP in Severe Ziva. very amazing fire type debuffer here. There she is on screen, and let's check out the skill set for our final units of the new event. We do have the tap skill here, in which she does deal 405 damage to one enemy, a 75% chance to remove one buff, and a 70% chance to inflict freeze. Skill gauge charge amount decreased, and damage over time debuff damage increased for 8 seconds long. So a very amazing tap skill here. On Ziva, we do have the chance to remove a buff, a chance to inflict freeze as well, which is overall very good here for the tap skill. As for the slide skill here, we do have deal 720 damage to 2 enemies, lowest HP, inflict eternal flame, 200 damage over time every 2 seconds. If the target dies, debuff moves to another enemy up to 1 time, unable to remove, cut, or extend a debuff, and guard buff blast. Last applied guard buff is removed, then deal damage based on its effect type by a factor of 400 for 12 seconds. In PvP, inflict a buff blast. Last applied buff is removed, then deal damage based on its effect type by a factor of 400 onto 2 enemies, lowest HP. So to break down the slide skill here, a very amazing fire type debuffer. A ton of players will be using her, as of course she does have damage over time here in Eternal Flame, in which if the target does die, the debuff will move to another enemy up to 1 time, which is very helpful in keeping consistent damage in the Devil Rumble. And of course, to add the fact that you cannot remove, cut, or even extend this debuff is amazing in that fact alone. We also do have here 2 more amazing portions of her slide skill, in which she does have guard buff blast as well as buff blast in PvP exclusively. So a very amazing slide skill here. This slide should make you summon for this unit alone, as she will be definitely one of the best PvP debuffers. So if you're lacking a debuffer for the Devil Rumble or Endless Duel, you should consider summoning her up, as she will help you get some wins. And we also do have here the drive skill, in which deal 2128 damage to 3 enemies. Priority the highest attack. She does inflict Eternal Flame here, which is 600 damage over time here every 2 seconds on the drive skill, as well as it's lasting for 14 seconds. And we do have here a 90% chance to inflict freeze here on her drive skill as well, which does last for 16 seconds long. So the drive skill here is amazing for Devil Rumble. She does have Eternal Flame, which will apply damage over time, and of course the debuff will move to another enemy up to 1 time if they do die. And we do have here freeze as well, which does help with slowing down the opposing team, which does last for 16 seconds long if it does land. And for the leader buff here, buff duration cut minus 10% to all enemies. In PvP, minus 10% added. Now overall here, Ziva is amazing. You should definitely summon her up if you do want to use her for PvP. One of the best PvP debuffers here on Destiny Child Global as of now. So you'll definitely want to summon her up if you are lacking in the PvP side of the game and do want to reach the higher ranks. She will definitely help you in that journey. So I would recommend overall to summon for all 3 of these units. Actually, they are all pretty amazing in their own way. We do have Ziva here excelling very well in the PvP side of Destiny Child. We do have Lassi here, in which she does excel very well in all areas of Destiny Child, PvP as well as PvE events. And we do have here Problem Kitty Catsi, in which I would look forward to using her in the World Boss Trials and possibly Endless Duel if you do want to toss her into your teams as well. So that'll pretty much do it for today's Destiny Child video on whether or not you should summon for the 3 new units of the Cats, Dog, and Devil Narrative Dungeon event. Overall, the verdict is, in my opinion, to summon for all 3 of them if you can. If you cannot summon for all 3 of them, I would suggest to summon for Ziva first, obtain the free copy of Lassi from the Narrative Dungeon event, and then summon for Catsi last. So that would be my priority to suggest to you all if you are low on crystals. But if you do happen to have a good amount saved, then I would definitely suggest you all to summon for all 3 of them, or at least give their banners a shot and see if you do manage to one-tap them. But before you go, everyone, make sure to let me know in the comment section below if you guys did enjoy today's Destiny Child video, and hopefully it did help you all in deciding whether or not to summon for these 3 new units here, as of course 3 banners can be pretty stressful on the crystal count. So hopefully you guys do decide on whether or not you want to summon for these new characters. But before you go, everyone, make sure to leave a like on this video if you guys did enjoy today's Destiny Child video and found it helpful, as well as make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't yet done so already, and of course are interested in more Destiny Child videos such as this video here today. And last but not least, make sure to check out the links in the description box below to my Twitch channel if you guys are interested in checking me out on there, in which we do live stream on the weekend, sometimes Destiny Child as well as variety games. So make sure to follow me there if you would like, as of course it's free and it does provide a ton of support to myself. But with all of that being said, I'll see you all in the next Destiny Child video. As always, thank you all so much for watching.